Good morning and welcome to a glorious day 336. It's 336 days on site building this beautiful lump of concrete. Welcome everybody, new subscribers, thank you for joining. I think we're kicking on 7:30s now, so welcome to the new people. Very brief overview, that's just an insane journey we decided to have a couple of years ago, which started last year, us coming here and trying to build our own home. So trying to document as many of the pros and cons that we're actually receiving in the hope that we can try and pass on some of that information to people that are currently doing it or considering doing it, whether it be in Barbados, in the Caribbean or anywhere. Do it with eyes wide open, whatever you do. And be prepared to be hands-on. If you're not prepared to be hands-on, be prepared to stick your hands in your pocket a little bit deeper than you thought. Okay, today the tasks. We are now we've got the first primer coat on the ceiling inside the garage. We're seeing some of the imperfections. There's a couple of screw heads missed. There's a couple of lines. So unfortunately, we're having to do a little bit of a skim again with compound, and then later on today we can get that sanded, and hopefully we can finish the whole paint inside by the end of play today. That's the goal I'm going to be setting the young man. I'm going to be getting inside in a minute and corner beading the extractor we have in there. And getting the first set of compound on that, so we can look at getting that sanded down and finished off by the end of play tomorrow, so we can get paint on there by Friday end at close of play. I want that grey and looking amazing. At the moment it's functional, but it looks an absolute eyesore. The guys are still working on de-weeding and de-rubbishing and taking any blocks and rocks and everything out of all the actual the landscaping area, so it is looking a little bit better, that's for sure. And also want to try and get the kitchen doors onto the new carcasses we've had made. For those that are new to the channel, we brought over a kitchen from England from a company called Howden's. The kitchen looked like a postage stamp by the time we actually finished the size of the kitchen, so we had to make it bigger. So we had on the island a kitchen company manufacture or hand make some 1200 by 2500 height cupboards, and they were going to make the doors, and they tried, but they just couldn't match the colour. So we've imported the doors over from England, but in England's wise and lovely ways, they didn't send me the hinges, so I had to try and get those yesterday. Thank you, Island Tiles. By the way, if anybody wants anything like that, kitchen hinges, door stops, anything European, they do some amazing sort of brass plated stuff. So again, because of the salt, you want to make sure things last. So if anybody needs anything from a door handle, door lock, through to kitchen handles, kitchen locks, shower heads and accessories, they do some really good European stuff. So that's again Island Tiles down towards Bridgetown. Good crew. So yeah, that's I've actually got the hinges now, but the downside is on the cupboards that have been made by the guys, they've not actually put any drill holes. So at the moment I've actually got obviously the carcasses in place, but I'm now going to have to drill all the holes to try and see whether we can actually get the hinges put on there. So that's going to be a bit of a time-consuming exercise today. So I've got the 600s, which are quite basic. It's only going to be 2 hinges per side. But then I've got the tall larder units. So I've got a 70 top, which has got 3 hinges, and I've got a 30-40% bottom, which has got 2 hinges. So I'm going to try and do a template in the hope that I can try and patch it up and pre-drill and then get them installed today. So that's going to be my plan. Extractor today and kitchen doors. And then also we've got the inside being done on the paint front and some external stuff being done. So I'll update you a little bit later on. Give me a like and subscribe. And obviously give me some more comments like you guys did yesterday. And I'll update you throughout the day as it goes. It's currently 8:45. Take care. Bloody warm inside today, that's for sure. Quick update, thought I'd just show you obviously the corner beading, and I'll show you obviously some of the complications we're going to have with doing it the way we've done it. Again, you might better learn from it or educate, but either way, let me show you what I mean. So what we want to try and do today is get the first set of compound on here. As I said to you before, the tower itself is slightly twisted at the bottom, so we've had to take the unit off at the bottom and try and straighten the unit best we physically can to make it look straight, but it does mean that the actual tower itself is slightly off. Now, some of you might be able to see it, some of you might be able to see it, but if you can see here, for instance, you can see the top at the front sticking out and you really can't see the bottom. That's because the unit itself is slightly doing this. I can't really do it with my hand. We also can't really put beading on the back because the back itself goes straight into the unit itself. So we might have to try and think of a different way of doing this if I've got to stick it on or leave it off completely. And normally what you do with the corner bead is try and stick the corner bead out to try and compensate for the unit being off. So obviously you'd probably bring the top bit out more and the bottom bit in and then skim that to try and square it off. But I'm not going to bother. I'm going to try and leave it as it is in the hope that it can actually, once it's filled and sanded and painted, you won't see it. So as you can see, it's nice and straight, but and the sides are straight. It's just slightly twisted. You can see the front up here is slightly out like that, and on the lines itself, on the actual unit, you can see where we initially drew the lines and how out it actually is. So again, you see how twisted the brackets are. That's because the brackets themselves are actually screwed onto the inside, so you can see how much it is really angled. So obviously these little heads as well, we'll trim those off as and when we're ready. So we're going to get the first part of compound on there in a minute. Not too sure why the guys didn't actually cut that so low. So we'll get the first lot of compound on, let that dry and try and sand it and apply a second coat before we leave this evening, in the hope that we can try and get this looking good by Friday and painted. That's the aim. The units themselves, like I said earlier on, my aim was to try and fit the units this afternoon. I've managed to find the hinges, but the carcasses that we've had made, these ones here, they don't actually have, so, screw holes like this to actually fit the hinges. We need 3 on the 70s and we need 2 on the 30s. It might be the other way around, maybe 40 and 60. But as you can see, there's nothing on here. So I'm waiting for Quinmans to let me know whether they actually do a template bracket that enables you to be able to put it on, screw through. I'm pretty sure they do. So for the sake of actually having to do a cardboard template and go along and potentially make it look slightly out, I might actually go and pick that up. But if not, then I'm making a cardboard template off of this one and trying to make sure that all the way down I can then make a hole in the cardboard, stick it on here and drill through and hopefully they line up. But yeah, not ideal. You would have thought that at the end of the day they would have pre-drilled all of these whilst the actual the sides were off, but not happening. Another thing unfortunately is going to make my life a little more difficult. So, but again, it's there's 2 600s down here to be installed. There's 2 bigger ones at the top, ×2, and then we also have the drawer fronts down here. We've got 2 doors going on here and 2 doors going on here as well, 2 600s, so they'll be mounted as well. Again, same problem, carcasses with no hinge holes. So we're going to have to see whether we can actually get the hinges down. I'm pretty sure the hinges should slide down. That's the other thing as well. Making sure on the drawers that he's actually left enough space for the hinges to go down. I'm pretty sure he has. I don't think the hinges are that wide. Oh, it's going to be tight, It's going to be tight. That one's okay. But I don't think he's done it on those ones. Well, that's a nightmare. He probably thought about putting drawer fronts on here, but if he did, then these should have been about there. And they're not, they're set back, so I think he's a faux pas. Welcome to my world. I'll update you as and when I go with regards to how we're getting on with this. Okay, welcome back. It's 1 o'clock. Everyone's still at lunch. The rest don't sleep. Okay, we got some compound on the actual extractor. My man loves compounding everything because he loves a good sand, because he knows it pees me off. No, seriously, you have no choice, but that's quite out, so he's had to put quite a bit on there, so we might get away with having a very light sand on that later on today, and we'll finish today by putting more compound on. The doors are turning into a pain in the backside. Okay, first issue is that the units that we've had made, these here, don't have holes in them, which I've shown you already. But also he's put the shelf in the wrong place because that's where the 3rd hinge goes, and also the gapping in between each one is absolutely huge. So I'm trying to move all the doors along to try and balance them out, but the gaps look absolutely humongous. So let me show you what I mean. So these are the, I'm pretty sure it's 60-40. So it's either 70-30 or 60-40 splits. So as you can see straight away, the first issue we have is that the first hinge is straight smack bang where he's put the shelf. So that's the first issue I've got to contend with. Second issue is that I bought these new hinges from Island Tile, and they're very, very different. So I've had to map out, I've had to try and make a little cardboard template, as you can see, and just tape it onto one of the doors, and then fold it over, cut in between, do dots, and literally try and guesstimate roughly where the hinge is going to be. So that's enabled me to do it a lot quicker. So as you can see, I've mounted these ones. These ones are in, they're on. These hinges are actually, they're very small screws, which is a bit of a concern. And then you've got this bolt here that you turn, and it basically does a bit of a, moves the hinge up and down, and then you've also got the forwards and backwards, and you've got the forwards and backwards, sorry, left and right and up and down scenarios there. So with these two doors, even with me now pushing this right over, so this was a nice flush gap before, so I've now widened that gap. As a result of that, I've got to try and widen this gap, but I can't widen it any wider because it's up against the far right hand side. This is now balanced over as much as possible without making this gap too big to try and close this gap. And then as you can see, I've got a huge gap in between here. So the gapping in between all of them just seems to be absolutely monstrous. So I'm gonna have to think about how we do this. This one's fixed, as these are the fridge and the freezers, and these are bolted onto the actual units themselves. So it's not helping. As you can see, it's close up here, and it widens down here. So this ideally could do a going left, and this could ideally be going right. But when you look at the actual carcass itself, that's not too bad, that one. But it does lean a little bit to the right. This one, if you look at the carcass, it's actually doing this. So both of those doors need to come over this way if possible, but that's not going to happen because they're actually on the door. I'm not too sure if there's any adjustments I can do on them. I don't think there is, because they're just hinged. So apart from literally unscrewing them completely, there's no give in the hinges themselves. They're not adjustable hinges. So I'm pretty sure they're where they are now. There's nothing I can do. So obviously what that's actually done is it's created a wider gap at the bottom here than it is at the top. So what I'm trying to do is obviously move this over slightly to compensate, which is not doing the balancing of the door any favour. So I need to ideally bring this one back over, and then obviously mount the bottom ones afterwards. This one I've only just mounted. I've not even shut it yet, so let's have a quick look. So obviously we've still got to adjust it yet, and I've not put this door on. So yeah, they're pretty good hinges. I didn't think they were going to be that good, but they are pretty good hinges actually. The screws are pretty good. They've got a square head, so if you do buy them from Island Tile, you have to get the square bit that goes in here, and that's one thing that I wasn't aware of, but I do have. So I keep them loose because there's not a lot of give in them. Get the actual clips on, push them on hard, and then get the door up or down as high as possible, fix that as possible, and then undo or do that to obviously take the door up or down. So as you can see at the moment, the gap here is not too good. This one's again not too good, but again, these are fixed, and there's not a great deal I can do about these because I've got to try and get these to match those. So this one pretty much sets the height, so I could probably do a bringing these ones down a little bit. And I might have to do the same on this side. I might have to bring these ones down a little bit. Again, it's not looking massively positive on that front. But anyway, I'll get this other door back on. Once all the doors are on, then I can start playing around with obviously which one's which. Obviously, if the carcass is plumb, which it should be, then the end panel is actually screwed onto into the carcass. So the carcass itself, we should be actually balancing all the doors off of the end panel, which means if we get a nice wide line there and get it straight and plumb, then do all the doors off of that, then we should be okay. And I always make sure that the bottom of the actual door itself is flush with the carcass, and try and do that across. But obviously I didn't put the units in, so I don't know how plumb and how straight they all are. Fingers crossed they're going to be. I haven't looked at these yet, but I do think we're going to have an issue with the hinges. The width themselves, yeah, I think we're definitely going to have an issue with the width there. So there's nothing we're going to be able to do with the doors on that unless he changes them or mounts them further back. For some reason on these ones, he actually did it so that they were going to take the doors, but on these ones he didn't. So he's going to have to change those. But anyway, I'm doing this because at the moment we need it done, and the kitchen fitters unfortunately are either too busy or not around. So anyway, I'll get them all done, and I'll get you back on film so you can see what they look like, and then we can start balancing them up a little bit later on. But at the moment, this is pretty much what we got. Fingers crossed when I take the actual protection off. And on that note also, by the way, typical, the doors have been damaged en route as well, so that one's not too bad. This one's got a dented corner. It's got a dent here as well. Thank God it's on the inside, so I might be able to repair that. And I think I remember rightly, this door itself has got damage on the corners, so fingers crossed the outside's okay. It looks all right, so fingers crossed that's okay. So anyway, all the doors on, and I'll once I've got them in, I'll show you what it looks like. Fingers crossed we can balance out the best as possible, and we can tolerate the gap issues. Does my OCD in that does. But anyway, I'll check in a bit later on. Okay, so in here it's taken shape a little bit more, but it really is uphill. Every single thing is unfortunately not working out as it should be, so I'll fill you in a second. Before I start, obviously, give me some comments down below. Let me know what you think about the problems with kitchens. The island of Barbados, kitchen fitters. There's plenty of decent ones in England. Here, I struggle to get some decent ones, that's for sure. Not that I've been looking, so I could be wrong, there could be plenty of them out there. But from my point of view, some of the teething problems I'm having as we speak now is just through maybe a rushed job or just a lack of attention to detail. So I'll show you some of the issues I'm contending with now, and I'll also show you some of the things I'm doing to try and counteract those issues. Very basic. Some of you may need to use them. Some of you may come up with a better idea and slate the one I've used, but it's working. So, well, let me show you straight away. So one of the first problems, obviously these have got drawers in, so all the drawers need to come out. The hinges that the runners that are in it don't seem to be very expensive, so they seem to be a bit rattly. So I think we could definitely do with some better greased solutions in here. Obviously I've got the first issue with the hinge, like I showed you just a minute ago, and I've obviously now got this mounted. These are push fit doors, so handleless. So to get into it, that's what you do. It's absolutely great, but then when you've got the bottom one, I've got nowhere to fit it but the bottom. But unfortunately the shelf has been mounted too low, which means I can't fit a piston here, which is where I need to fit it because it's not high enough. So I've had to also cut out the PVC hinge, cut out the PVC to get the hinge to get in there as well. So I've had to do that on both sides. So unfortunately, that's what I've had to do there, but it's looking like I might have to raise that now to try and get the necessary height underneath here. Otherwise, I'm always going to be having to open the top door in order for the bottom ones to open. Now the other issue I've got is that the gaps are absolutely massive compared to what I'm used to. So because he made the carcass, I haven't got a carcass colour that's the same. So the carcasses that I ordered from England were actually in this colour, which without being rude would have been the same sort of problem, but I'll be seeing a light silvery grey through like that rather than a tan colour, which is obviously showing up quite badly. So I'm going to need to find something to cover that gap up. I'm trying everything I can to try and adjust the doors over to try and make the gaps smaller, but I don't seem to be succeeding at this present time. So any ideas you guys have got, let me know. I mean, this one here, look, is absolutely quite monstrous. This one's fixed, obviously, like I said just a minute ago. Now I'm moving on to this one now, expecting to have the same problems, which I have. I've had to cut the hinge out down here and here, but now what I'm also getting is the hinge is actually hitting this shelf, because on this one here it's 11 inches from here to here. From one shelf to the other, one runner to the other, this is 11 inches. Well, that one was 10 inches. So I'm now having to unmount the runner from here and drop it down an inch in order for the hinge to miss the runner. So that's another problem I'm having. Again, same problem here. The gaps are quite big, but they're not too bad. And again, the matches, like I was quite conscious that the doors coming from England might have a different colour. I mean, that one is darker than that one. You can't really see it on the camera. I suppose you can a little bit. But you know, because they're the same material and from the same manufacturer, it doesn't look that bad. So obviously get these on and do the same, remove the actual film and see what it looks like. But yeah, a nightmare at the moment, because obviously I'm not the kitchen fitter and I didn't manufacture these units. So I've got to move this hinge down now an inch, that one down an inch, and the ones that are actually on the base here, I'm gonna have to move them up probably by about at least 10 mil either side and do those ones as well, just so that we can actually get the openers on there as well. So these things are sent to try us, apparently. And it's everything on this job certainly is testing. You know, from my point of view, it won't take me too long, so I'll get it sorted out. But you know, from my point of view, the only reason I realised it is because of this. I've made this little cardboard cutout, so it's just literally finding one of the decent doors that are already on and hung, and cutting around the actual the elements of the shelves and sticking it in there, and then marking out where the hinges are actually on the doors that are there. Now, when I actually came to this one, it wouldn't fit. So I'm like, why is it not fitting? And then I realised that it's because they've actually moved the shelf. So that's how much I will go down by. So I just need to take it down an inch like the other one. So again, that's what I've been doing. It's just literally templating ones that are already on there, marking out where everything is, sticking it in place, and then using obviously a hole punch, a drill, and making sure I do it properly, because obviously you don't have a lot of room for error, that's for sure. And I did the same with the big ones as well, the big tall ones here. I just made this template here, same thing, cut out where the shelves were, cut out where the hinges were, and then stuck it on, and then same thing, just use the actual use the drill and the screws, and it seems to have gone all right. So we do have height issues. I mean, all the hinges need to be adjusted. I'm not a kitchen fitter, that's for sure, but attention to detail I certainly do have. But at the moment, things like this, you know, not being completely square and having a wider gap here and a thinner gap here is bugging the hell out of me. I just need to get them on, get the film off, stand back, have a cup of tea, analyse where the hell things are going wrong, and then start again. The problem is with something like this, if you don't actually start from a plumb edge, you could be here forever. So the downside is they're not plumb, so that's my first issue. And I don't know if the units are plumb. I certainly think they're not, because that one there is, the door at the top there is higher than this door. So certainly the feet need to come down here. And once they're down, then maybe I might be able to go central and balance to here, and central and balance to here. I can't do anything about that because that's fixed, and there's no adjustment on the doors themselves. So anyway, obviously what I've got to do is I've got to adjust the doors up and down, left and right, this way as well, and then I've also got to bring them forward and backwards as well, because the next stage obviously is making sure that they're nice and smooth. As you can see, it's looking okay to about here, and then there's a little step here. Sorry about that. That's because there's no hinge on this door at the moment, so that hinge will bring that back once I get the third hinge on there. I'm not even going to attempt the third hinge until I can find the tool that cuts these. Now it is in Koimas, I did see it. So all I've got to do is obviously get a hinge cutter to cut here, mount the hinge, and then find some caps. I've got some caps, but I don't have any spares, and all of the doors are double-sided. So I need these caps to fill the outsides, and at the moment I've got 2 left, and I need at least, well, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I need 10 per set. So anyway, that's one of the issues I'm having. I don't know what I'm going to do about here. I'm going to have to get him to come out and redo these. Or get him to make some drawer fronts with a matching colour, but he's not going to get the colour match, that's for sure. So anyway, as I said, these things are sent to try us. So I'll get the templates on, I'll lower the runners, I'll raise the runners, I'll put the doors on, and then I'll report back in and you can have a look what they look like. Okay, 4:30. Before I start, do the usual for me. Don't forget the comments, really important. Today obviously I've been showing you a few bits I've been doing, so it'd be nice to hear what you think. The guys have actually boarded up here today as well, so this has been painted, that's in, this has been hinged. I bought the wrong size hinges yesterday, so I didn't finish off this door, so I've got to change those in the morning. But we have a closable area. The final snagging on the ceiling has been done and sanded, so tomorrow, if it kills me, there will be paint going on all walls and ceilings tomorrow. This needs to be finished tomorrow. I don't want it dragging on. And then the electrician's got to come out and put in the this little sensor here. That's a motion sensor, so that when you drive in, the first 6 lights come on. And then you've obviously got a switch for the other guys. There isn't a switch in here for the lights, which I find a bit weird. So maybe that's something they're going to do. I mean, you can actually turn them on and off from inside the house. You can't turn them on and off from inside here, which is a bit weird. So I need to talk to them about that, make sure we can actually get something through here. So it's actually on this side, where this part of the wall is here, just on the other side there. As you come in, again on the other side of the door frame, which is a pain in the backside, it's mounted there. So I'm sure they can take it straight through the wall and mount it on this side as well. Should have a switch both sides. So we'll get that done. The guys have been spending some time out here cleaning up. So it has cleaned up, but they've also been bringing a lot of soil around from over here to try and get this balanced up. So we've got to get another extension on the septic tank because they're too low. So I think I'll probably get away with buying one, splitting them in half and having 6 inches here, 6 inches here. I'm going to pull a line from this concrete over to this concrete to find out how low that is and get that sorted. They've also been bringing some soil into here as well to try and level this up. But yeah, so there's a few bits and bobs done there as well. We need to obviously get all the crap from yesterday's soaring sorted as well. So yeah, in here has been the main thing, obviously getting this prepared, ready for the painting itself. So we're pretty much there. So that's, fingers crossed, tomorrow should be all about paint. So let me take you in and show you what's happening inside. Okay, so lots more compound on here. So second stage of compound. So hopefully that will dry off tonight and we'll have a good look at it tomorrow to work out what we've got to sand down or whether we've got to do again. Okay, and here is the dreaded kitchen. Okay, so I haven't taken these ones off yet, but I really am struggling at the moment to balance these. I think this tower here is too high. So I'm going to take the skirting off in a minute and see if I can actually try and get this lowered, because it does look like from here, it looks like this unit here is taller than this unit, which means that this is up in the air. So that should be on the floor, and it nearly is. So it leads me to believe that there's a little bit up in the air. So if I take that down, it might balance out and it might make this easier. But at the moment, I really am struggling to get these two doors level with each other. This one's at the bottom max, and this is about in the middle, and this is balancing. So I'm trying to keep obviously the gap between the units straight and the gaps above the two doors straight. But as you can see, it's just not square. So this one's as low as it can go, and this one's as high as it can go. So that the only thing I can think of is that the units are actually doing that. So that means that it doesn't matter how low I go and how high I go, it's just they're not going to get level with each other. So that's the only thing I can think of. Because also, as you can see here, there's a height difference between this unit here and that one. So I've got to be careful I don't know. So that's out. That's out, that's out. It's all cascading along. High, low, high, low, high, low. Which leads me to believe that the units are sort of, yeah, don't explain it, but yeah, it's just as if the units themselves, the two doors, are sort of, can't do it with one hand. But yeah, because it's moving over, one door is going over, the other door's going over, and you get like a step effect. I think that's what's happening, because at the moment, it doesn't matter how much I adjust them, I don't seem to be having much luck. But anyway, if I shut them all up now, I haven't actually finished off the bottom drawers, but let me show you from afar. We're now looking all grey, apart from obviously the one there with the vinyl on it, obviously. We're looking all grey again. So it does look 10 times better, obviously, than the bloody great holes we've had with no doors on. And I'm quite pleasantly surprised that even though they've been ordered quite far apart, that we don't seem to be having a massive issue with the colour differences, which is good. So I'm going to pull this one off in a minute and have a look what that looks like. The only handle we have obviously is in the middle here for the actual fridge and the freezer. Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised at the moment about how they look. I'm just a bit gutted that the gaps all the way around are way too big compared to what they should be. Again, this one here, I've got to try and look at how I can get this one down a bit and that one up a bit, and try and get the gaps a little bit further apart to try and ease the gap here. So at the moment it seems that I'm right on the carcass outside here, but I've had to take these ones right in. So you can see this is the carcass, the brown one there is the carcass of here. This should be over, but it's clearly not, because this one's over. So I'm trying to take these as far as I can over, so I don't have to stretch these so much, or if I do, I'm actually not too bad here. I think on the actual carcasses that have been made by the kitchen fitter, I think he's gone a bit too wide on the carcasses themselves, very slightly. Because until we physically had this one doored, this one was absolutely fine, and the line, the carcasses were, the doors were just on the inside of the carcass length. Now I'm over, and I'm still got these big gaps, so it's definitely in between. The issue is stemming from this unit here we've actually now put doors on, and this one here. So anyway, I think once I've actually, if I can get some dark grey spray or tape and just tape the inside so you can't see some of the brown. It might make it a little bit easier on the eye to bear, but obviously everywhere I go I'm seeing brown. Because at the moment the doors, our original doors, are covering our carcasses. It's only these ones here in his carcass that we're not covering. We're not covering it there, we're not covering it there, we're not covering it there, and we're not covering it there. So as you can see, you can't see any of the coloured carcass on this side, only this side. So anyway, my wife said it's probably just me. It's probably my OCD and no one else's, but she said it looks fine, but it doesn't. But anyway, there might be someone on the island that's a guru at kitchen fitting that might be able to come out and balance them up for me. Because at the moment, I'm not able to do it at the moment with the hinges that are on there. But again, like I said, I'll get all the actual stuff taken off. At least it's now looking nice and grey. There's doors on every unit, apart from, I'm gutted about these. I can't do these at all. There's no way I'm going to be able to do these. So I just can't see how, with the gaps that he's given me down the sides, that I'm able to get any form of hinge down there. As it is on these ones here, I've had to, let me show you what I've had to do. I haven't actually put the slow closers on here yet. So on these ones, I've had to lower these by 1 inch in order to get this hinge on. So I've had to do that on both sides. And with these ones here, I haven't done it yet, but I'm having to pack them up by 3 spacers in order to get the bottoms on here. So as you can see by these ones here, they're spring loaded. So you need to get these on. But in order to get those on, I need to raise each hinge. So that's a bit of a pain in the backside. These are on, so they're quite convenient underneath there. So anyway, work to be done, but at least we're making a little bit of progress, and the kitchen is finally coming together, and we're suddenly starting to see some of the finishes happening. I'll film it again tomorrow, because I'm still going to carry on working to get everything finished off. But again, before I leave, don't forget the comments below. They're really important to me. Obviously a thumbs up or thumbs down, depending on what you think. New subscribers, welcome. Hopefully we'll be able to fill you in a little bit more detail, but we are coming to the end. So the other 330 odd videos, I'm sure I've got plenty of carnage for you to get your teeth sunk into. So I'll check in with you tomorrow. Another day on planet Earth finished. See you bright and breezy. Hopefully with a little bit more cloud so that the heat's not so much today. But anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.